Good morning or good afternoon, depending on which time zone you happen to be in. My name is Reverend Taliba. I am happy to welcome both Sisters Ama and Sister Fumani to AfterWords. This is a conversation that follows the weekly online sermon from Bilakuta, the Shrines of the Black Madonna online experience. It's an opportunity for those of you who have watched the service to hear a conversation about the reflections, kind of like you would have done if you were at home at church and you went down to coffee hour to have a cookie and visit with the other people in the fellowship. And you talk about, what did that sermon mean to you? What did it make you think about? We at the Shrines of the Black Madonna welcome you to this part of our online experience. And by the way, if you find yourself in Atlanta, if you find yourself in Detroit, if you find yourself in Houston, we welcome you to our live services held in those cities. And if you happen to be in Liberia, we have a church presence there and are developing a church presence in Ghana. So wherever you are and we have a brick and mortar church, we would love to see you. But at this point, we're delighted that you're with us today. Sister Fumani, could you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you so much for having me this afternoon. My name is Sister Fumani. I joined the Shrines of the Black Madonna about 20 years ago while I was a college student at Clark Atlanta University, and just have been inspired by the work that we do in the church all around the world, and just happy to discuss the sermon today.
And just one question real quickly. If you had all the power, what would you do?
Oh boy.
Wow. If I had all of the power, I would set up Beulah-lands around the world where Black people, people of African descent, could live in self-determination without outside influences of capitalism and oppression from other groups. That's what if I had all the power of the world, we would all live in our own Beulah-land and have self-determination.
Absolutely. For those of you who are new to the Shrines of the Black Madonna, Beulah-land is an agricultural development in South Carolina, in the city of Abbey. Well, it's not, I guess calling it a city would be hard. It's in the county of Anderson, out in the country in Calhoun Falls. And it is a 3,000 plus acres of land that the church owns, where we have the opportunity to have retreats. We're going to be having some this summer. We've had summer camps. We have at one point or another raised goats, or the goats raised us, it seemed like, and sometimes cows. And we are in the process of developing a vertically integrated agricultural community that allows for healing, feeding, and thriving. Sister Ama, could you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Ama. I got my name when I was in Ghana about 30 years ago, and I go every year. And I was very excited to hear about Ghana because I'm going to live there. So I have to connect with that. I've been a member of the shrine for almost 2 years. I joined, well, I guess I really joined online, but I did live in Atlanta, Georgia. And yeah, that's all I got.
Well, you got more than that, because you get to answer the question.
Okay.
What would you like the power to do?
Oh, I would like peace.
Okay.
I would like peace. And you know how we have this thing that we're doing, mindset. A lot of folks are talking about. They say, "I'm excited. I'm excited." They start their talk. They kind of been trained to do that and whatnot. And I just want to suggest that maybe seek peace. And peace can be very exciting. It doesn't. It might sound boring to some people, but peace is very exciting. So yeah, mine would be peace.
Okay.
Peace on earth. Yeah.
Goodwill toward women.
Right.
Amen.
Will towards all. That's right. Yeah.
So we had the opportunity today to hear from Bishop Mwenda, and he took us to a place of power. Whether he went through several books of the Bible, ending, of course, with Timothy, saying that God did not give us a spirit of fear, but she gave us a spirit of power and peace and love. So that was an interesting thing, particularly this week. This week, for those of you who are not living under a rock, we heard that the former president was indicted on a 37-count indictment, which talked about having used power corruptly, having used power to take pieces of information that were in the national security that didn't belong to him and share those pieces of information with persons who could have brought great harm and might still bring great harm. That was a great thing in juxtaposition of bishops talking about Jesus talking to the disciples and reminding them. He wasn't giving them the power. He was reminding them that they had the power to seize and to control demons. It made me, the difference between those two, between former President Trump and the power that we were talking about today, was so amazing. Did that strike you at all, Sister Fumani? Did you see the contradiction of power for good and power for mess?
Yeah, we see it on the news every day that there's that there are people that are in power that they choose every day to choose themselves first in their communities or their companies. Making sure that they ensure that they have wealth for themselves. So when I saw that, that just confirmed what our former president has always been about. He's been about making sure that he has he can shore up wealth for himself, no matter if it's at the expense of his own home country. And I think for us as African Americans, we have to recognize that some of us still have to make sure that we understand that we have to, in the same way, we have to think of how can we shore up our own stability in this country, and even knowing that our government is not always going to be, working in our best interest. So that's what struck me is, how do we work within these systems, even though it's set up where a lot of our politicians are now, they're not necessarily public servants, they're private servants for their own selves. So that's what I got from that.
Mama, when you think about power, what does power mean practically to you?
Well, personal power, I would think I would have control over my circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
So one of the things that he gave us lots of examples of the use of power, private servants, and the use of power throughout the years. The guns that rang out and killed the 69 people in South Africa. The little boy with a hole in his chest just days ago. Persons who had authority and power, who used it recklessly. And he juxtaposed that in many ways to anything that might be called the practice, right, of Christianity, which is a practice a way of living, a way of being that takes the power that we were all given by God and uses it in a way to better a community. If you had the opportunity tomorrow, how do you think that you could use power, we could use power, relative to all those children who are a year and a half behind from COVID or in their educational spaces? What can we do?
Well, create summer programs to get them up to speed.
Sure. Does the summer program have to be practiced by a school system?
It can be
Yes.
a combination, community, school, you know, churches can, I know sometimes do those things. Yeah, nonprofits might have a, you know, that would be a very good project. Yeah, a year and a half of school, I think it's possible to develop a program during the summer to help them.
Okay.
But
And
the other challenge, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's
how about grammar school?
huh?
Grandma and auntie school.
Exactly.
You know, I know that it's tempting to feel helpless when you see these kids in so much trouble, but when the kids come to play with your kid or your neighbor's kid, grammar school becomes, you just read to them or read with them. Participate in an art activity on the front sidewalk with them, with that big old chalk. When you draw a flower, you can write the word flower, right? So the kid will learn the word flower, maybe in English, maybe in Spanish and something else. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you make a really great point that we have to start to think of all of ourselves as educators. And yes, we're not great educators in everything, because I learned that I thought I was good at math until COVID hit and I became the kids' math tutor. and you know, just another shout out from how great our community is. There are amazing math educators within our community, even your sister Neonu and Sister Nimako, who lives here in Richmond, was able to reach out to her to help with the math tutoring. But you know, we during COVID realized that there were going to be a lot of gaps, and there for young Black children, there are going to be a lot of gaps anyway, because they have to learn so much about how they're going to be perceived in the world and how they're going to have to operate, you know, with the books, with the knowledge, the book knowledge, but also how to manage racism, sexism, all the systems they got to work throughout. So luckily me and my husband are nerds. So we had a few, what we call briefings, and we love PowerPoint, and we'd have PowerPoints on, you know, how the world system is set up, you know, how you are perceived as an African person. We've gone over how to set up small businesses, or what are some side jobs that you can do for, as far as Uber or DoorDash, to kind of bring in some money for yourself in addition to whatever job you decide to do. So you can start as early as possible to invest and shore up your security here in this country.
Well, Sister Kumani, I'm hearing a presentation we need to have on our virtual space. No, really. I mean, just as Niyamako came up with her Math Rocks tutoring, this practical knowledge that you're talking about, that you're sharing with your children, you come up with that idea. And that's part of what the Shrines of the Black Madonna is about. You got an idea, you got a bit of information, a thing that you've shared, and it can be invested in all of us. So those of us who are not really good at PowerPoint can take your PowerPoint and share it with our kids, or the kids that are hanging out with them. That is amazing. That's an exciting, exciting resource. One of the things that Bishop was talking about today was the difference between knowledge, that which is abstract and not applied, and experience, and how we combine them. And that was kind of exciting to me in a peaceful way, exciting in a way that made me think, well, let's see. I'm a person who was is retired as a judge for not retired for a little while, but a judge for 40 years. So I understand what the laws are supposed to be, but when I talk to my grandchildren, I've got to talk to them about how the law actually works, i.e., when you get stopped by the police. Yes, you are presumed to be innocent, but let me tell you what you ought to do so you can come home and complain to me about it later. The difference between the knowledge of that which is supposed to be and the experience that tells you how to manage that world. What is your thinking, about the concept of Christianity as a practice, as opposed to all the noise we're hearing on TV and elsewhere about Christianity as a theory, a thing that you hear somebody talk about for 45 minutes on Sunday, and then you put it on a shelf?
Okay, wow. You know, okay. The way I've worked it out, the way I've worked it out, I have a list. It's a list from Maya, the 42 principles of Maya, a list of virtues that I feel that practice will help me align myself with what God has for me, sees for me. So I take that and I match it up with what's going on in my life. And if I can follow these principles, then I feel whatever this decision I'm going to make is in alignment and I can move forward. If not, not. But like say you have things like in the workplace where you can get yourselves in situations. You mentioned the Trump thing, and I really think that Trump's gift, this is the very first time that I thought of charisma in a negative way, but Trump was able to attract a certain person, a certain type of people, a certain energy. It does not mean that these people were actually initially in alignment with him, but he had a way of, you know how you can tell people who will help you, I mean, because one was a cab driver and now he's this thing with the valet, these connections. But I think that was a gift that he had. But
he could draw out the grievances in other people.
Right.
He was able to address their grievances and then take them to a dark place.
Right. And so one of the things that I started to do when this Trump thing came out, and you were talking about teaching your grandchildren, unfortunately, or fortunately, what you taught your grandchildren, I just learned 2 years ago. I didn't get it. I did not get it. I got it now. So that was interesting to me.
Could you share with people who may not know what Mott is?
Oh, okay. It's from the Egyptian. Some people, I've heard it said that the 10 Commandments came from these principles. I kind of and just a general thing, because I know that in the shrine they're also aware, and it also comes from just every morning talking about I honor virtue, I benefit with gratitude, I'm peaceful, I respect the property of others, I affirm that a life is sacred, and there's 42 of these.
Yes.
And so I think of them and maybe concentrate or write about one or two of them, depending on what's going on. And then at the end of the day, before I go to sleep, I hear them again, because we are so much told who we are by the media and outside sources. This has given me another energy level to absorb.
Something to center.
Right. So
Something to center.
that's how I'm and I'm working on this. I joined the Goddess Circle here online, and so and they reintroduced this to me because I had stopped, and I started back up again doing it. But,
And what you're pointing people to is online, as a part of the church's ministry, we have many venues, and one of them is the Goddess Circle, where sisters come together and work on sharpening and focusing their power. Because one of the things that was key about this message today was Bishop talked about Jesus telling his disciples that they had the power. He didn't give them the power, right? He was telling them they already had it. They just had to harness it, right? And part of health in the Black community is to understand the power we've got. And to figure out what we do with that power in our holy space, whether it's our house or our neighborhood or our job, where we figure out how to judge ourselves and move ourselves toward better, because we are fully capable of doing that. And the Goddess, I'm reminded that the Goddess Circle will culminate on the land. They'll have a culminating experience on the land this summer. So those of you who are listening, go to Shrine Online, and you may find a way to invest in that experience as well, and share it with your children and your neighbors and that sister who's sitting there going, I can't get rid of 40 pounds, as if that's the end of the world. Or I don't look like Beyonce and I sure don't sing like her. And allow her to realize that she is fine as Black wine every morning, every day, has got something to give, has a magnificent spirit. She was that essential worker who made it through COVID, going to work, balancing her kids being at home, and still not being paid $15 an hour. That's a powerful something right there. Well, as we bring ourselves kind of to a close today, other than the fact that you're going to give us your PowerPoints, Fumani, and yes, you are, because I'm gonna bug you, so we can share them with people, because that's a little homeschooling that's very helpful. And I too, okay, I owe something. I have a presentation on what to do when you're stopped by the police, and I will share it as well, and what not to do, so you can get home. But what powerful word, powerful thought, powerful practice would you share with us today, Fumani, and invite our hearers and watchers to do in furtherance of liberation of Black people?
The powerful thought that I would share, which stuck out to me, that Reverend highlighted, is that we are not required to have suffering to be close to God.
Mm-hmm.
So many of us have to believe that first before we can believe in our personal power, that we are not destined to be the poor and downtrodden forever, and that the poor, inherit to earth. We have to let that belief system go, that suffering and being downtrodden is not going to make you closer to Jesus. It's not going to make you closer to God, that you have the personal power that is already in us. God has already given it to us. And that is what I would leave people today that just know, just trust that you already have the power. You already have it. If you read any history, you have plenty of examples of Harriet Tubman, of Marcus Garvey, of all of our ancestors who've already shown us that we have the power. So just believe that we already have it in that, and let go of that old conditioning that we have to personally suffer to be closer to God.
Amen. Amma?
Wow, I love that. Yeah. No, I'm also working on listening. So in my total listening to her, I need the question again.
What powerful practice, word, wisdom would you share as we round out today?
I got one. Seek the good.
Mm-hmm.
All circumstances, all of them. And one of the things that I have started practicing is not getting upset when I usually do get upset. That includes frustrated, annoyed, whatever. I would be on the phone for a service, or I'd be someplace and the machine didn't work or whatever. And I remembered one time, I don't believe I'm going to say this, but one time I was on the phone. Now, I'm not going to cuss anybody out, but I can cuss you out without saying a cursed word. And I did that. And fortunately, I had the right person on the line, because she said, "Why would you talk to me like that?" Oh my goodness. I had no idea that I could be that person. You know.
You turned into a Karen?
Huh?
You became a Karen?
Yeah. And it's so easy to see it on other people, but we don't see it ourselves. But you know, I think that grew from the tiny impatience that I would have and succumb to. And now when things don't go like the waitress summit, I was treating myself to a high-end outing, and the waitress didn't bring silverware. And usually that would have been respond with at least oh, and you know, whatever nonsense we get into with that. And I just said, and would you bring me some silverware? And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. You know, she realized that she had messed up. She brought him back. I said, thank you. And I went on and ate. Now, I could have gotten all that attitude with her because of that, and probably influenced my the meal in terms of, or even taking it afterwards, and actually realize that that little attitude thing is giving up your power. I was there having a pleasant, wonderful thing, and you're going to let a knife, fork, and spoon mess that up? Really? So yeah, that's what I'm working on. See,
And actually, that's a powerful practice of Christianity. That is the power of understanding that we are forgiven for our mistakes, right? And we should give that to others. And in that way, encourage a more cooperative, peaceful place. So we're glad that you spent time with these beautiful, powerful sisters and us today. Shrine Online is always there. You know, when you have one of those nights when you can't sleep, go to Shrine Online. There's going to be a sermon. There is going to be a conversation like this. There'll be classes. There will be things that'll make you smile. There'll be some good music. We are always there. Our practice of Christianity is to be open to the community. We're here for you. We'd like to see you in Atlanta. We'd love to see you in Houston. We would be delighted to see you in Detroit, in Liberia, or soon in Ghana. But if not, we are always there online. We are always there online. And while you may not yet be a member, you are a part of our community. And with that, good afternoon and goodbye.